Hey, we are back on a Tuesday night. Tuesday night's the night where answers of questions that you didn't know you wanted answered are going to happen, something like that every Tuesday. Yeah, it does. Jay Brannan's down in a corner. Brian is up on top. We are here tonight
I like on top.
Yeah, that's why we had to reset, because otherwise it was a timer on top, and that's just not cool.
Me and Robert Palmer, I believe. It was a lyric from Bad Case of Loving You, by the way.
Yes.
I like it on top. Sorry. My brain, it's weird.
Back.
Go ahead.
Which that is not one of our 10 questions tonight that we're going to be asking. Actually, we have a variety of different. We have some music questions. We've got some personal questions, and we've got some things that are not DJ related in tonight's set of questions. Some of these questions are things that people have asked in chat rooms that we haven't used there. Some of these are things that that have been on in Facebook groups, and it's like, I'm going to do a variation of that with the guys. And there's a couple in here that I just threw in here just to make things interesting.
John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Yes.
Next.
That actually could be no, that's not. Well, that could be part of it.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so let's see. Let's just start out at the very, very top, and who wants to be our first one so we can make sure we do this? Jay, do you want to start out on the first one?
Yeah, I apologize if I look like I'm waving.
Oh, do you need to? Are you done with that? Did you get that done?
No, I should
later.
have about 4 or 5 minutes.
So okay, so yeah, so generally you only need about 3 minutes and 50 seconds to answer the question. That'll leave Brian 10 at the end.
So the 4 minutes is 2 and 2, then I should be fine.
So the way the game goes, ladies and gentlemen, is I'll present the question. We start the timer, and each of them have about 2 minutes to riff about the topic, and then we go to the next topic. So our first one. This is a question I've seen a few times here. Basically, people are getting into the DJ thing, and they are wanting to get more bass for their mobile show. They're trying to do some smaller weddings. Backyard event seems to be a really big thing that people are asking about. Jay, how could they get more bass out or for those types of events?
I would start with getting either the 218 Sherwin Vega earthquake sub. That would be my first approach. If you can't afford a bass boss, that would be where I would go. You know what? I'll be honest with you. You can get a lot of bass, and Brian and I both own some of the same gear, and we both happen to own the EV ZXA1 sub.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 12-inch sub, and it is pretty amazing how it does give a lot of bass. And I think what you need to first realize is the more bass you have, the more sound you're throwing off into the distance. So if you want to get the attention of the authorities, the neighbors, those who may call the authorities or the neighbors, like, you don't need to go heavy on the bass. Like for outdoor events that I do in wine country where I live, I've never gone over one single 15-inch sub with 2 10-inch tops. And it sounds great. And the reality is, yeah, I could probably get away with just the 2 10-inch tops set on bass, but I don't want to push anything that hard. So I would consider your option, if you're working with a 10 or a 12-inch speaker, stick with a 12 or a 15-inch single sub. If you have an array system like an EV, like the Evolve 50 or even the Evolve 30, I heard them at NAMM with Brian. I think you were with us with Pulse. They sounded amazing. 2 of those, I think you'd be great to do a small event. I really do. The other option is this, and I've done this at house parties. Take one of your speakers, put it on the floor, put the other one in a stand, and it increases the bass enough where it appears like you're pushing it harder, but you really aren't. So if you've just got 2 tops, I suggest one on the floor, one on a stand, and I think you'll be good to go.
Brian?
I think what a lot of people think about when it comes to frequencies is high, mids, and lows. But the truth is there are varying degrees of low frequencies, including mid bass. And that, I think, is where I would focus on for like a backyard party, where you're not trying to rattle anybody's teeth out of their head, but you're trying to get some bass. And what mid bass is that punchy stuff you hear in dance music, like pop, 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 pop. And sub bass is more like do 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 do. It's bass guitar. It's ultra low frequencies you're hearing in hip hop. It's stuff you're hearing in Honda Civics going past your house at 3 a.m. that you want to throw shit at. That's sub bass. right, that rattles trunks. Mid bass, I think, is very, very handy for mobile DJs because it not only gives them the rhythm to dance to, but if you have a strong cabinet, 12 inches is a really good option for that. Even on a two-way top cab, if you can throw some really good mid bass through that, I think you're good. And a really good way to realize a little more bass out of your system is to actually cut other frequencies. And the most popular one for me, and this is personal preference, I like to cut mid a little bit because when you do that, you can push it a little harder. It's not as harsh, it's not throwing as far, and you're realizing more highs and lows when you do cut that mid range off of your EQ. The bass is actually handling, or the lows is actually handling your mid bass more than anything else on that GEQ with the two-way top cab. So if you cut that mid bass, if you cut the mid a little bit, and you're going to be able to push a little harder, and you're going to realize a little more mid bass in your system, even from a two-way top, and then you should achieve what you're looking for.
Excellent.
Great point.
Good advice. Good advice. Let's see.
Now, I only see me in the box, John.
Yeah.
How much of me is on screen for the video? Because I've got another thing going real quick.
A lot of
the
yeah.
box, can they see anything else?
We can see your bookcase, so we can see the.
No. I mean that stuff, but like my shirt, because Brian gave me this for the show.
No, all we're seeing is her chin right now.
Oh, can you see the finger over the lips?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Brian gave me this to kind of wear on the show from now on because he said sometimes. So I wanted to make sure.
I don't
thanked
think
him for his great gift.
I don't know what he's talking about. We've never talked about such a thing. I don't know what you mean.
Jay is a man of few words.
At a time. Okay.
Waitress.
Waitress.
You
Show these hoodlums out. These are me. Next question. Brian, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Who was your inspiration when you started up in the DJ world?
There was a guy on a radio station called KLOR in Ponca City, Oklahoma. His name was Lee McCullough. I used to ride my bicycle down, because I lived on 3rd Street. I lived on like the 700 block of 3rd. The radio station was on the 100 block of 3rd. So I would ride my bicycle to the radio station, take the elevator to the 3rd floor, and watch this guy through a sliding glass door DJ. He was the coolest guy in the world. He had the kind of the blonde fro and the mustache. He was tall. He drove around in like a Corvette Stingray. You'd see him leave the studio. I used to just watch this guy. I liked his programming because back then the DJs were picking a lot of their own music. It wasn't like now where you got a program director dictating the stuff to you. He always, I felt like, selected good songs. He had a good voice. And I liked the guy. Mm-hmm. He was one of the guys that I was always thinking about when I was, when I started DJing. It's like, I could be cool like Lee. I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I don't know if he is alive or dead. I don't know if he still works at that station or he went somewhere else, but that was one of the people that I was looking at. Other than that, boy, as far as DJ inspirations, when it comes to technique, I really like Grandmaster Flash because he doesn't do, he invented the whole quick mix thing. Mm-hmm. So he's the godfather of it. But when I listen to his stuff, there's no filler. He's doing what's necessary to make it happen. When he's doing the loops and the scratches, it's not obnoxious. It's not too much. It's not over the top. It's gorgeous. I love his work. I don't know. That's off the top of my head. That's what I can think of for inspiration.
Excellent. Jay, you're the inspiration when you were starting up in the DJ profession.
Well, I have two because I had kind of two careers. I had radio in the 80s. And then I had mobile in the 90s. Excuse me, 80s wise, it went back to the 70s and a guy in Boston named Dale Dorman. Then it became, I worked in a station called WBCN, and it was a lot of the jocks there, but the overnight jocks, Carmelita, Bradley J. It was the first time I ever saw him mix. And he took, I'll never forget, it was on vinyl about 2 a.m. on a Sunday, Monday morning, Sunday night. And he mixed the Cars moving in stereo into Aerosmith's Seasons of Wither. And I remember going into the studio from the production room and saying, like, what was that? He's like, what? I said, you just played, it seems like one song. Like, what is that? Because it wasn't, I mean, I know so many DJs, including Brian, yourself, everyone. It's like, yeah, it was just a mix. It was a blend. It wasn't on my radar at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you were a DJ in a club, which I wasn't a big, huge fan. I was the guitar guy. I was into metal. I was going to like metal clubs with bands. I rarely went out to see a DJ till I was in my 20s. So that wasn't an experience I really had. So that was the beginning. Then in the 90s, it was a couple local DJs. And then from there, when I really got going, it was probably the guy that I still look at is like a Danny Tenaglia and an Eric Prydz and people like that as I moved along. But I didn't really have somebody that I looked at and they pushed me. I tried to pick every local mobile DJ's brain and say, you know, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? And I would listen to local dance stations on a Friday or a Saturday, and they would have DJs do mixes, and I'd be like, oh, I should do this. Yeah, I started off in a really weird way. It's not the normal story you hear. So my inspirations came later, not earlier.
Excellent. Our next question, Jay, we'll start with you on that one.
Okay.
The next one is for moving gear. Somebody wanted to find the best cart without breaking the bank.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm with them on that one.
And
Rock
why?
and roll.
And
Rock and roller cart.
why? Go, Jay.
Rock and roll cart is the greatest piece of gear I own. Better than anything else. I can do a wedding or a gig with any controller. I need a laptop, you know, record box DJ from Pioneer DJ or Serato DJ, whatever I'm using. But I spent 5 years doing weddings and gigs at probably 70 to 90 gigs a year out of a 1996 white Chrysler Sebring convertible. Speakers in the back seat, stuff in the trunk, had it made, and I had a Grundor or Grundorf or Grundig. I can't even remember who made it.
Grundorf.
Little fold out, stupid cart. Like you could carry one speaker in a bag. So you'd make like 9 trips. And then I found the rock and roll cart and my life was done. I can fit that folded in the front seat of any car. I can fit 90% of my gear, hundreds of pounds, and it has changed my life. When I watch these young whippersnappers who like to carry their gear from the U-Haul truck to the gig, hey, when your back is killing you at age 32, you call me. I'll tell you where to buy a rock and roll cart. And honestly, I'd probably go to NLFX Pro because that's where I bought all my rock and roll carts.
Nice tie in there. That was good. I like that. Brian, you've seen a lot of carts in our journeys as we've gone to conventions and such. They're good. People throw out, oh, get this, get that. Why would some of these 2-wheel carts or even some of these other 4-wheel convertible carts, why does the rock and roller stand out as a superior cart?
Well, what I like about the rock and roller is the weight. There are a lot of carts out there that do some cool stuff, but they are heavy. And the other problem that I've had with other carts that I've used is that I end up blowing the bearings out of the wheels for some reason. It doesn't matter how much you spend on these things. Doesn't matter how good they say they are. And you know, I think a lot of it is these carts are developed in places like Southern California where everything's nice and smooth and pretty and the weather's nice. You bring it to Wisconsin where the concrete is buckled from everything freezing and there's salt all over the place and there's snow you got to drag it through. And you blow those wheels out pretty quick. Where the rock and roller doesn't have what I would say the best gliding wheels that I've ever worked with on a cart. You're not going to mess them up. And I really like that. And being one-handed, for all practical purposes, when I'm loading and unloading, it's nice to be able to grab that rock and roller right in the middle. It balances nice. I can pick it up and just stick it in the vehicle. And it actually collapses pretty small. It's smaller than anything else that I've had that was as functional, I guess. So, yeah, it's a good cart. I say everybody should have one. Get the one that works for you and enjoy, because it's going to, like Jay said, you know what? Even if it costs you $200, it's cheaper than back surgery.
For sure. Yeah. And
it's a great piece. John, I thought we had time. I was going to ask what is yours?
The rock and roller. I mean, I've had the 2-wheelers that convert into a 4-wheeler, and I've had other brands that have come through here, and invariably, we always compare them back to the rock and roller carts. And it's not that this was meant to be a rock and roller, spot by any
Review.
means, but it's just the reality of the situation. Is there's knockoffs of them that just aren't built quite as well. Not that every model.
Spend the money, get the brand, and as a last side note, and Brian knows the area. I had to move my refrigerator, and I ended up unplugging it, pulling it out, and realized, oh, I know, it's empty. I'll lay it down. I'll only fold up one arm of the rock and roll cart,
Right.
put it on the rock and roll cart, and dragged it across a street. And it's the exact same cart that I'm still using now, 4 years later.
Yeah, I've had family
So
members.
I know it'll carry a fridge, a couch, 2 or 3 dead bodies of people that have given me a hard time that didn't see me coming at, late at night.
Yeah,
Last time I went through the international terminal in Detroit, the Delta terminal, I noticed that there were a bunch of rock and roller carts like sitting there for like baggage. Like the airlines were actually using them too.
Super smart.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're really good. You can fold them up into nothing. They go in the front seat. I had to take my son's Volvo to that wedding 2 weeks ago. Put the rock and roll cart in the front seat of a 97 V70 Volvo. Fit perfect.
Off you go.
I mean, come on. Yeah.
Let's see. Brian, you're starting this one. Favorite place to go in Las Vegas to eat when we're out there for covering a show? Where would you like to go, and tell us why and the nuances of that?
Does anyone want to lay odds on what he says?
No,
it's one of two things. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
barbecue.
I love Roll and Smoke barbecue. That's really good. My Roll and Smoke barbecue. It's very inexpensive. It's Arkansas barbecue. You get more food than you can really eat. Plenty of leftovers to bring back to the room. Very friendly service. The other place that I like is Four Queens. You go to the back of the Four Queens. There's a little place there. I took Jay there one time before he went all vegan on us.
Yeah.
And the food is fine. It's like one of those, $12 T-bone steak deals.
We went there in
whatever it is.
Photo Booth Expo.
Did we? Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, you got the jambalaya that you wouldn't shut up about.
No, not jambalaya. No. It's anyway.
What's the stupid soup you got?
Gumbo.
That's
Gumbo.
it. See, this is
go.
why Brian's here, John. I'm always this close.
Yeah, you are. You're kind of close. It's,
Like I said, the cheap porterhouse or whatever, or prime rib, I think it was this time around.
Yeah, you got prime rib.
Fine, but
Steve loved it.
you go for the gumbo.
Yeah, the gumbo.
The gumbo is amazing. Everything else is fine, but I would pay that much just for a bowl of that gumbo.
Yeah, and they have a great salad.
Yeah, said the guy who, ew, look at that dead thing on your plate, sir. I can't.
Well,
radishes.
when I answer this, I'm going to answer from both sides of the street.
So this will be a multi.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are up to. Although I have been to the barbecue place, and it is really.
Are you going to talk about Ellis Island or some place like that?
You are correct.
See, you did it to me. I had to do it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good call. No, I'm very fortunate in location because I'm probably going to be in Vegas next week, actually. So I go to Vegas on average about 8 times a year. So I've worked Vegas out. My go-to is Ellis Island. Get the card, get the Players Club card because you get discount on food. They now have a new restaurant outside. That was where we went with our friend, the daughter of somebody that we both know. She's really cool and she hit hard at Photo Booth Expo. Were you with us that first night? I don't think you came. Yeah. No, we're talking, hit money. The best food I've had in Las Vegas, best Italian food I've had in Las Vegas is at Caesar's Palace upstairs. The name escapes me, but bring the wallet. Dinner for 2 should run you about $350. The best value food in Vegas, in my opinion, is Carson Kitchen down on Carson off 7th. Phenomenal. They have a bacon jam appetizer where they take bacon and literally melt it down into a jam, and then you spread it on toast. And everything on their menu, including their bread pudding dessert, which they take a glazed donut and brulee it by melting it with a torch over the bread pudding. The food there is phenomenal. I mean, everyone's got their go-to places. The old days, it was buffets. I can't do buffets anymore. Yeah. If you want a great buffet in Vegas, now they're kind of pretty much closed. But back in the day, it was Rio, because Rio had this crazy seafood buffet, but it's like $80.
Before our
You know,
time's
like,
up, I just want to say that Jimmy is saying Rolling Smoke Rocks because I went there with Jimmy and my daughter Stevie. It was a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
you've taken like everybody there but me, because by the time I came around to it was too late.
And
I can only enjoy the two.
And can we both agree to give a shout out to the Pepper Mill since we're talking about Vegas food?
Yes, no, Peppermill for any time, day or night. Go to the Peppermill, but bring an appetite. Like,
Denny's on steroids.
Yeah, skip a meal. Like, what, 3-egg omelet? I'm kind of hungry. Here at Peppermill, we do 5.
Yeah, they do.
That's not a pancake. This is a pancake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Scrappa should be the chef there.
Right.
You want a biscuit? This is a biscuit. Like, damn. What just happened?
Let's see. I've got one more, and then we're going to get into our speed round with music after this question.
Oh.
So, let's see. Jay, you're up with this one. Wireless or wired mic for your DJ booth or your DJ stand, and why do you choose to go that way?
Up until very recently, as in probably the last 6 months, I would run a wireless mic. So it would be my mic for the ceremony, my mic for all my announcements, my mic to give for toasts, and my mic on my rig. So it was 100% wireless. Now, since probably February, I'm running 2. Wireless for the ceremony and the toasters because of different locations. And then I run an SM58 wired for me at the rig. Now, the wedding I did 2 weeks ago, I ran 3. I had an SM58 on my rig for the main reception, an AKG for introductions to the wedding party, and then my wireless was on a stand with a windscreen for the toasters that I changed between toasters. Moving forward, I talked to my bride for August 8th today. It'll be the same thing. I'll use a wired SM58 for my rig, and then they'll use the wireless mic. I don't really if I'm making announcements from where I'm standing, I don't see that I need a wireless mic. Mm-hmm. And for $100, you can go buy an SM58 that's, in my opinion, bulletproof and the industry standard. And let me ask you real quick. I know I've got 35 seconds. How is it that the SM58 that I bought 20 years ago was $100? And if you go to GC or anywhere else today to buy an SM58,
it's $100.
It's $100.
Yeah.
It's like the Costco hot dog and Coke. Have they maintained the same price? Like, seriously, it was $100 then. It's $100 now. What kind of anomaly is this? You know why? Because it's an Illinois company. It's over by Tui Ave, over by our famous Holiday Inn, Mobile Beat, 2008. We'll go. That's another story. Brian.
Wireless.
For years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was going to reset, but you're good.
No, for years I have used a dedicated mic for me at the booth because I look at microphones like toothbrushes. I don't share that. Why would I share a mic? So in the old days, it was really nice to have a wireless mic because I did a lot of walking around and here's how you do the Cupid shuffle and stuff like that. Those days are over. So I have a gooseneck with a microphone on it right at, my station where the mixing board is and where the computer is and where my light remote is. So I can do whatever I need to be doing while talking on the microphone. And then there's a wireless for everyone else. I call it the guest mic. It is the wireless mic. And that's how I do it. I used to use that Sennheiser, same one that Prince used and Stevie Nicks used and everybody else used back in the 80s. But I think I might have popped the capsule on it. You can still hear it, but it's not great. It still looks cool. So I don't use that anymore. I'm using a JTS that sounds really nice. It's a super cardioid too, so it doesn't pick up any sounds anywhere else. The SM58 is a cardioid, still a good mic, but it will pick up a little bit of background noise. I think the SM58 beta is super cardioid, and that one is a little more, focused for those of us who like to just really get on top of the microphone and talk. So that's how I do it. That's why I do it. And that's what I'm currently using right now. Although I've never owned an SM58, believe it or not.
Really? I'd love to see a beta. I'd love to see an AB on that. Like the beta versus, because I never get why somebody would spend the extra $50 to get the beta.
Because it's super cardioid.
Yeah, but
There's
like,
there is a difference
That's
in
another class.
the pickup
no,
pattern.
I get that, but what's the advantage to me making an announcement at a wedding?
It's not going to pick up you dropping anything on the table or anything like that.
I'm not. I'm just talking. Like that's my point. I'm
Then
just
you
talking
don't need
about
it.
Actually, Jay, for us, we probably wouldn't matter. But if you have a higher pitched voice, or if the beta does a much nicer job with female voices, with a typical female voice.
Oh, okay. That would be good if got so many toasters, half of them are women.
Yeah, and if you've got a female singer, then it really shines over just a straight SM58.
Ah, okay.
That's really where they come into. Okay. Now we are into, let's see. So now who's starting this one off? Brian, you're starting this off. This is our music round. This is very much like Family Feud, where I'm going to present a group, and these guys are going to pick a song from this group. They pick one song only. We'll go through. Brian will pick his songs first. Then Jay will go pick his song, and then I want you guys in the chat room to tell us who had the better list.
Oh.
I realize this is going to be a little unfair because Brian is first, and Jay can't pick the same songs.
That's okay.
Let Jay go first.
Let Jay
go first.
Let Brian go first. He's going to say Prince. So
I'm still having a hard time understanding this game.
I am going to give you the name of an
better
artist.
mix out.
Oh, you're going to give a name of artist. I'm going to list songs.
You're going to list one song. Somebody comes up and says, "Please play something from." Boom.
Gotcha.
And then you're going to name a song. And then our chat room is going to go through and are going to listen to both of you and decide which one of you had a better list of songs.
Yeah. It's subjective. No, I mean, look at Earth, Wind, and Fire. If that's one of the groups.
It's not your turn, Jay.
It's not your turn. Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
You said that, right? So let me get ready and you can have 2 minutes so you can have some time to think about it. So that won't be. Okay, Brian, the first one. Somebody comes up and says, "Can you play something from the Rolling Stones?"
Ah, damn it.
Start me up.
Play something from Bruno Mars.
Uptown Funk.
Play something from the Bee Gees.
Staying Alive.
Play something from Beyonce.
Crazy in Love.
Play something from Bruce Springsteen.
Hungry Heart.
Play something from Rush.
Spirit of the Radio.
Play something from Prince.
Kiss.
And the final one, play something from Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
No, I take that back. Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
Okay. The answers are locked in, ladies and gentlemen. Remember those answers.
This is like Family Feud at the end, the lightning round or something.
I know.
You have 2 minutes. I just went
in
past.
the middle. We put it in the middle. That's so. Jay, now you've heard. I'll go through one at a time. Our judges are listening.
Okay. Now, real quick, I need context. I'm at a wedding. Are they dancing? They're not dancing. You just want me to give because I can give better songs than those, in my opinion.
Jay, stop overthinking.
You're overthinking this. We're after good songs.
Okay.
Good songs.
Okay.
So somebody comes up and says, "Play something from the Rolling Stones."
Brown Sugar.
Play something from Bruno Mars.
24 Karat.
Play something from the Bee Gees.
Night Fever.
Beyonce.
Soldier. No, that's Destiny's Child.
That's Destiny's Child, yeah.
Oh, I can't
Close
stand
enough.
Beyonce.
How about Single Ladies?
Single Ladies.
Okay, Single Ladies. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen.
Born in the USA.
Rush.
Man. Tom Sawyer. There's so many great Rush songs.
Prince.
Erotic City.
Oh, and finally, Queen.
Another one bites the dust.
Okay.
And I'm going to lose the Queen one because he took the best Queen song. There's no question. I'll probably lose anyway because Brian's more popular than me, but I'm just saying.
I liked your Erotic City.
I like the Erotic City. That one.
I was shocked you went with Kiss.
Well, I was just thinking about what people respond best to.
But see, that's the thing. Now you're doing exactly what I did. It's
I overthought it. Yeah.
Where are we in the wedding?
You won that as far as I.
If we were dinner time and you said play Rush, I would have said Closer to the Heart.
But as far as it all goes, you already knew what the artists were, so you were already kind of mentally.
That's okay. Next round, I won't. do this again.
Is there a next round? I don't know that there is a next round.
Not of this. Not of
There
this.
is, I go first.
Not for tonight. But, the votes
gonna
are
hold
coming.
this over me in
The
the chill
votes are
room.
coming in right now. Jay is winning 3
You
to
won,
4
Jay.
to
They
4 to
love
1.
I'm shocked.
They love you, man.
The BSR.
5 to 1 so far.
You can't
Yep.
take on the BSR.
I don't even see anybody who liked mine.
It was on Facebook actually.
Oh, it wasn't even here.
It wasn't even on YouTube. And now we make a seg for the win.
There you go, Jay. You won. Congratulations.
Oh, funny. Okay, the next topic. Let's clear this. The next topic. Let's see, Jay. We're back to you.
Okay.
Favorite movie of all time that can have some kind of a connection to music, whether it's about a music artist, or if there's a great soundtrack to it, or if there's just such a kick butt song in it. That's all I need for a music connection. Favorite movie of all time. And
Thanks for voting for me, Dave, by the way. That was nice.
Man, there's like four or five.
well, you have a minute 35 to tell us about them.
Yeah. Valley Girl, to me, I love that movie, and the soundtrack is amazing. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, love that movie. Soundtrack's amazing. Believe it or not, Against All Odds, that soundtrack is incredible, especially with the Larry Carlton instrumentals in it. Man. Ford Fairlane,
Rock
incredible
the Cradle of
soundtrack.
Love.
Yeah, but it had, again, if you notice, all the ones I'm saying are movies that happen when the soundtrack would release songs that you couldn't get. We didn't have the interweb. So if you wanted to get like Last Night in Paris by Queensryche, you had to get the Ford Fairlane soundtrack CD. If you wanted to get Peter Gabriel, Walk Through the Fire, you had to get the Against All Odds soundtrack. It was a different time back then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's one definitive. I mean, honestly, 16 Candles, to me, has some amazing music in it. But John Hughes, his movies, for the most part, he was a great movie or music lover. The same way that Marty Scorsese is. His movies have incredible music. You look at, Wise Guys, Goodfellas, and it's like the scene where they find the bodies in the Cadillac, and you have that end of Layla, the piano, and it's like, my God, how'd you come up with that? So there's a lot of great music movies. Garden State is up there. Singles is up there. Brian.
Repeat the question, please.
Favorite movie of all time. It can have any connection to music. It could be about an artist or something to that effect. It could have just a kick butt song in it that you liked, or it could, in Jay's case, he talked about soundtracks that were just amazing for him.
Because he went off on soundtracks. I'm like, did he ask about soundtracks? So movies that have to do with music that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Purple Rain.
There's a
It
lot
was a fantastic movie. The other one that I really like, believe it or not, is Neil Diamond's version of The Jazz Singer, which everyone hates. But I thought that had a lot of really good music in it. I actually enjoyed the story. Of course, the first time I saw it, I was probably 8 or 9. So my idea of a great film was probably not way up here. But no, I enjoyed the film. I could watch it now, and I liked it too. Cool World is one that nobody talks about anymore, and I love that movie.
Love that soundtrack.
Well, no, let me take that back. I hate that movie, but I love the soundtrack.
Soundtrack amazing. My Life with Real Kill Cult. Wax Tracks.
Yeah, Sex on Wheels is on there. There's a beautiful song by Electronic in there called Disappointed. David Bowie turns up with Real Cool World. Next to the E by Moby. It's nice. I like it. Play With Me by Thompson Twins. Are you kidding me? It's really good.
Thompson Twins. That's 16 Candles. That Wish You Were Here. That is one of the most underrated songs of all time.
Jimmy Spin said Xanadu. He's absolutely right. And Gus is saying Guardians of the Galaxy, either volume 1 or 2. It's solid as a rock.
No, those all day long. But that's the weird part. There's so much good music that used to come out in the movies. And I think Guardians is probably the breakaway where it's like, hey, let's put awesome music in this that nobody may know.
Brian Case says Xanadu, great soundtrack. The movie sucked. I disagree. I liked it. But then I was watching it for Olivia Newton-John, so that kind of helped.
Yeah. By the way, Brian Red is going to be doing his Pride mix tomorrow. All Xanadu.
The next question. Let's see who starts this. Brian, you start this one out.
Okay.
Somebody's just starting out and they would like to know what they should invest in for lighting to do small weddings.
For small weddings,
Yep.
I think that whatever you invest in, the best thing would be to find a par fixture that works that you can wash walls with. That way you're not blinding anybody. They're very versatile. You can uplight with them. You can put them in some kind of sound active mode where they'll flash to the music. It's really the best light investment that anybody can make. So if you would pick up anywhere from 3 to 4 to 6 to 5 or whatever LED par fixtures, they don't have to be hex. They can be tri. They can be quad. It doesn't really matter. I think really that is the best investment you can make, and it can actually make you money later if you decide to do something else for your lighting and you want to use the parts for something like architectural lighting or uplighting a head table or something.
Excellent. Jay?
I'm the biggest American DJ lighting fan, especially Mr. Brian Dowdle, who is just one of the nicest people I've ever met. And
Absolutely.
one of the coolest guys in the industry. So I want to say that up front. But what I'm going to suggest for a beginner is to get 2 Chauvet Wash Effects 2 lights. They are a good value. A pair of them would run you probably a little under $300. And you can do an amazing amount of lighting with them because they're very bright and they're pretty much color washes, meaning they throw color onto a ceiling, a wall, a group, a floor. And I think if all you have to spend is short money as a beginner, just buy 2 fixtures that mimic each other, that you could either, put a DMX cable to each other and have it master slave, have them run in such a way that they're doing the same thing. I think keep it easy. Don't invest in moving heads until you're ready. Don't get the big crazy lights. We had talked the other night. I'm very likely to go buy a couple of Vertigos because you know what? No one's using them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that doesn't make them bad. It makes them a throwback.
Unique.
Like Vertigos and Mini Gems and Aggressors, they're becoming like vinyl of the day. So I would today, if somebody said, I need 2 lights, I'm new to this, I would just simply say, you know what? Boom, go this way. $300, get 2 lights, they won't fail you.
Excellent.
We have time left. What does that mean?
It means we can get more stuff in.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We can go in that. Jimmy threw out a good question earlier that we're going to add to our list, but I have to put a little caveat with that one. But we'll hit that. Our next question. We're doing pretty well. 2 questions left. The question, this one's come up, and this one may go beyond our 4 minutes, and if that's the case, it's not a big deal. The people are asking, what should they be doing now to get ready for when the wedding season opens up, whenever it does open up? They need to be using this time. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing events. Let's see. Who's starting this one off? Brian?
Me.
Remember, Jay, you're starting. There you go. Yeah, Jay, you're starting this. What should they be doing right now to get themselves ready for when life returns?
You know what? I'd be going over my music. That's what I've been doing. I would just simply go over crates, folders, however they store their music. Don't make it so streamlined that, and again, there's 2 different DJs. I'm the DJ that in the moment comes up with a song idea and then has to find it. Then there are the DJs that their crates and folders are so accurate that they just click on it and they're in the moment. I don't like that, and I've never liked it. I always want to kind of feel like I'm chasing the next mix. So when I say get your crates together, what I mean is get your music, kind of clean up your hard drives. If you got duplicates, get rid of them. Start practicing a little bit. Try to come up with new mixes. If you've got Shazam on your phone, when you go somewhere to a mall or a store or anywhere that they're playing any music, put it on automatic. Come home and listen to what's being played. Because if you went somewhere and the music was good, you get to suck some of that in. Listen to shows like this. I'm looking right now. We have 75,000 people tuned in right now on YouTube. This is where you learn things. The Guardians of the Galaxy. I've never seen the movie until I was at a palatial estate in Milwaukee. I was at the BSR's homestead, and I watched it, and I'm like, God, I know every song in this.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, the soundtrack's awesome. They're all awesome. I'm like, wow. Guess what? People that are of a certain age group that like that movie, you better have all those songs. And by the way, if you get like Sweet, Ballroom Blitz, get, Love is Like Oxygen, because that's what you're going to need to play later. If you play that and they go, oh my God, I love this. What is this? Oh, it's Sweet.
Excellent. Brian, what should you be doing now to be ready for next things coming back?
Yeah, like before we went on the air, I was playing around with virtual DJ. I was doing some things with it that I never thought to do. I was exploring it a little bit, some of the features that were on it. I was also thinking how, I would really like to talk to Jay about a mixing board that had built-in DVS, because I think that would be something really unique to use with a program like VDJ. I was also actually thinking about Serato and what that has to offer. I don't have a Serato license. Maybe I should pick one up and check that out. And because I've learned, and I learned this when I was a kid, when I was playing instruments, if I got stuck on guitar, I could go to bass. If I got stuck on bass, I could play keyboard for a while. If you switch up your stuff and try it from a different perspective, sometimes it helps. And it's the same thing with any kind of mixing you do, or not even hardcore mixing, but just anything that you do with DJing. If you do it on CDs, try it on turntables for a while. After that, trying on software for a while. Maybe try different software than you were using before. I don't know. Those are the kind of things that I'm trying to do, is just kind of getting more familiar with what I have in front of me. And I hope that it will make it better when I go back out on the road. I'll be more familiar with what I have and more prepared. And maybe I can try some things that I didn't really have the confidence to try before because I've worked it at home.
We can ask questions too. I mean, talk to people that you may not normally DJ with.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what are you into?
There's one more.
See if maybe there's music that you're not on your radar that you could then adapt to.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that I want to bring up before we go to the last question, and this is something actually, Brian, you've been doing, and we talked a little bit about this before we went on air. Is using this time not so much to improve your DJ side, but to check on other people within the industry, other DJs who are out there, and to just reach out and say, hey, how you doing? And have conversations. The chill room's been a great spot for a lot of people that have been able to come in.
As always.
And that's been a great place to be able to have those conversations. But there's people out there that you guys know that you can see how their attitude has changed. They're not the same person that they were 6 months ago. None of us are. But it's something that sometimes you need to reach out and just say, hey, I'm here. I've got it. If you need to vent, I'm here for that. If you want to complain, okay, I'm here for that. If you want to talk about how, the wine country is a great spot to do weddings, there's probably someone else for that one.
The takeaway that I can, or I guess the story that I can share is one I shared off air. And that is that probably about 5 years ago, my brother came down with cancer. Now, it was a very curable cancer, but it was indeed cancer, where he had to go through chemo and radiation and things and surgeries, and he's going to be out of work for a while. But the end game was, when this was all over with, there was a recovery period and life should go back to kind of normal. And he was very upset about this. He was scared. And he was telling me about it, and he said, God, I hate to even complain to you, because I'm going to be recovered and you're still going to have your disability to deal with. I don't feel like it's fair for me to even vent to you. And I told him, I'm like, dude, this is not a competition. Yeah. You feel how you feel, and you don't need to make any apologies for it. It's okay. So I guess the takeaway I have tonight from all this is from a friend of ours who said it's okay to not feel okay right now.
True. 100%. And nobody should judge how people deal with or cope with anything, because we all do it differently. Some people cry, some people laugh, some people scream. You deal with it the way you deal with it, but understand it's always okay to ask for help.
Mm.
Yeah, that's for
And not
sure.
everybody can be a badass like me.
Well, yeah, because Brian has no sensitivity or feeling.
Not at all.
No empathy.
Brian's coping skill is called shutdown. My coping skill. I haven't figured out my coping skills yet, but someday when I do.
Someday when you get to it. Final question, and then we're going to wrap up for tonight.
Okay.
We have to put a little caveat with this one because this is Jimmy brought this question up. Mm-hmm. Excluding rock and roller carts, your favorite piece of gear and why? And I believe, let's see, Brian, you're wrapping this up.
God, I don't know. I'm not a gear guy, you know. I mean, and that's the truth. And I've made this very public, especially in the chill room, that gear bores me. It really does. What turns me on is what I do with it. And maybe I'm a little jaded because I got what I want.
That's a 60s answer. No, it really is. Like, man, it's not about that. It's about free love and here where I am with my lover.
Can't we all be one?
I mean, really, if I think about the piece of gear that has just made my life easy, I don't know. I guess, and this sounds stupid, but it's probably, I don't know, if I had to pick gear, powered speakers, it's just less to carry. I don't have to hook a lot of stuff up. I guess it would be that. I don't know. The Pro Vent table's nice. I don't know. What do you want to hear, man? I'm a music guy. Gear's boring.
They're giving some good suggestions in the chat room, but we'll come back to those after we've.
They're gear people. They are gear people. Dave says Maui 5 Go. Yeah, that's cool, but that's not like I like the Maui 5 Go because I like to play yacht rock in the backyard, not because I do it at somebody's wedding reception, you know, with the ceremony or whatever. Gear's boring, dude. It's super boring. What you do with it is more interesting than you know. I don't know. It's like a bunch of artists sitting around talking about canvases and paintbrushes all the time. Shut up and talk about what you created with it.
Jay.
Because that shit's or mechanics talking about snap-on tools, and they don't do that. They talk about the hot rod they built, not the wrenches they have. It's boring.
So on that note, Jay, what do you have for us?
Well, I think when it's all said and done, if you've set a beautiful table, Brian is that guest that shows up and knocks everything down. So establish that.
It's not a competition.
No. I understand it's all about the pieces of gear that over the years I've loved outside of the rock and roll cart. The Pioneer DJM 3000 mixer, the first really big investment I made in my career and loved it to death. I loved the DJM 5000 mixer, used it for about 3 years. Went with powered speakers back in 1998. And I've never owned a pair of speakers and an amplifier as a mobile DJ. I've always been powered speakers. So in the beginning it was, well, they're not as good, they're not as full, and blah, blah, blah. And they were great for me, you know? And I think with gig to gig, the one piece that I genuinely have to look at and say, man, I wouldn't trade this for the world is and I don't like Shure Wireless. Sorry, everyone, but my Shure SM58, it's 20 years old. And I used it last Sunday. But I'm that guy. It's like I play guitar and I love having old guitars because they get better as they grow, it seems. The Shure SM58 seems like it sounds either the same or better than it did when I bought it.
I'm a 1200 hoarder, by the way. So,
what's that?
Does that count? I hoard Technics 1200s.
1200s, yeah.
No.
I like them.
But
maybe that would be my favorite piece of gear. I don't know.
You know what? And for what it's worth, it's different now. But when I got the SM58, it was a rite of passage. It was like, I have an SM58. I don't have a copycat. I don't have a cheap one. I don't have a little flip switch. I bought the mic that I can see on stage with Aerosmith and the Stones and everyone else. And I felt like I elevated my game as an actual DJ when I first started.
Sure.
So,
Excellent.
my
Well,
answer.
ladies and gentlemen, that is our questions for tonight. Hopefully, you guys had some fun with that and playing along and sharing some great shares in the chat room this evening. Until Jimmy puts in an SM48, dude. Seriously,
It's like the 55 that everyone's like, oh, with social distancing, dude, the thing's like $300. It's a wired mic. Like, where are you going to use it? For the toasters? For you? For like, if that's your gig, if you're like the rockabilly DJ, sure, I get it. I just want to play some music for the crowd, have them dance, have them have a great time, break down, go home, and then down the road somebody calls and goes, man, you've made that night so special. We'd like to hire you. That's all. It's very simple.
simple
It's one
formula.
sentence.
Well, we're gonna wrap things up. Thank you guys for being with us this evening. We will be back. Let's see. Tomorrow night there's a wedding chat show, and then we'll be back next week. Have yourself a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and
Stay safe.
Yeah, make
Don't
sure.
be stupid with the Roman candles. I know who you are.
And make
Don't Roman candle fights. I was there once. I was young.
He was
Back in the
visiting
1800s. That's what we did. But you kids don't have to do that.
Don't
in
do
Rome.
that. In Rome. All right, everyone, have yourself a great weekend. Good night, everyone.